Oops, wrong one. There we go. Evening, everybody. How we doing? Hope everybody's having a wonderful night. Every time I start a stream, I get nervous that I didn't do something correct with the audio. But in this case, everything's good. It's going to be great. So, New England Fishing Expo, bud, this weekend.
It's going to be intense. It always is.
Very. It already has been intense. And before we started showing you kind of the idea of what you already started to see on the table here, it was funny as I'm preparing to get ready for this because I'm holding a ton of inventory for Big Bass Streams, Defiant, now Biwaa USA at my house. And some of this stuff was not like boxed up because of the way it came back to me from previous shows, the way it was recently shipped. So it was like, okay, time to like consolidate and start staging because DJ's here with his truck. He's going to take a bunch of stuff tonight. And I got this all done over the weekend. I sent him a video. I was like, dude, there's a lot. And then he gets here. He's like, now that I'm seeing it in person, you're not wrong.
It's a lot more. I've got the Tundra with the 6.5 foot bed and the truck cap, and it's nearly full to the brim.
Nearly. Although the only thing in there that, we got a table. It's a fold up table. It doesn't take that much space. We got that wire rack for hanging all the pegs on it.
Still not that much space with that.
No, you're right. So yeah, the rest is pretty much just boxes.
Tons of line, tons of baits, tons of clothes, tons of gear. It's going to be a big, crazy booth.
It's going to be nuts. So how is that relevant to this? It is relevant because not only are we going to show you a really good selection of what's going to be there, not just what's on the table, but I got some pictures from Beast Coast to pull up too. We're going to start with them, but we have a lot of everything. So some of the more special stuff that is probably going to garner a little bit more attention from the majority of you, there's not a significant amount of inventory on it, but like a lot of really good like traditional tackle stuff, there is significant inventory on. So rest assured, if you can't get there early Friday, maybe you can't get there to the end of the day Saturday or midday Sunday, we're still going to have stuff for you. So don't feel like you need to be there in a crazy rush to get what you want. We've got you covered. More importantly, Big Bass Streams, Defiant, and Biwaa have got you covered. So there's that. I do know that Big Bass Streams is going to be there with a ton of new stuff as well. And we've got some stuff to show off for that. They're also going to have some really good show pricing. So for those that are interested in that and everything that they love about Beast Coast, they're going to be running about 10 to 20% off on pretty much everything they're going to have there over, what their normal retail price is. So that's always a good thing because we all know how expensive tungsten gets in a hurry, but Derek is looking out for you, everyone. So,
and it's show pricing. Like you can't beat show pricing.
No, you cannot. And my concern is like I've got what I want from all of this. Not concerned. Beast Coast got everything I want. Not concerned. I continue to tell myself that I'm okay with what I got for Swimbaits.
Yeah.
And I know that that's a goddamn lie because I'm going to get to the show and I'm going to see like bullshit. I'm like, I do need another 9-inch glide.
And they got all the stuff from Swimbait Universe that's going to be there, and you got Lanciati that's going to be there with. There's a lot of real pretty baits going to be at this show.
I know, and now I'm happy because like all those guys are going to be there. Like I got a Psycho Gill, so I got Lanciati. I've got 2 Sherpas, so I'm covered from him. I don't remember if he's going to be there or not. I know Tom's Custom Baits. He makes great stuff. He's going to be there. I've got one from him. LFOD will not be there, but I have one of theirs. I got the Monk. Like, I don't think they're going to have any Pats whatsoever, but I've got 2 Pats. Like I've got something from all of like the quote unquote major swim bait makers out of New England, which makes me happy. It's that New England pride, but I could always do with another 9-inch glide. I've got crankdowns coming out of my ears, but I don't have enough big glides.
9-inch trashy sending us some stuff over there.
I should really get some more 7-inch glides. That's what I should be doing. But anyway, I digress. Let's start showing you guys some stuff. So for a reminder, this weekend, starting at 1 p.m. on Friday at the Royal Plaza Trade Center in Marlborough, Mass, is the New England Fishing Expo. We will be there. Myself, DJ, 3D Fishing, Sean Miller, kind of, although he's primarily there for Douglas rods, but they're going to be across from us. We got Vance, who's in the chat. Brandon and Tommy will be there. David Roy, who's I'm going to let him make that announcement. It's really good, really cool stuff. And Chappie's going to be there Saturday morning to help set up, which is good. We'll have another body first thing Saturday morning. And I think we'll actually have the whole crew Saturday morning. And yeah, he's going to be doing a lot of filming too. So we got all that. I know Bass Fishing Electronics is going to be there. Obviously, Ben's Tackle Shack is going to be there with everything that they have. Beast Coast Fishing, I mentioned them. There's also going to be Crazy Hickbait Company is going to be there. Like there's Lou's Strike King. So Rather Outdoors, they're going to be there with Cappy. Tim Doobie, he's going to be there.
Yep.
Kyle Patrick from Douglas. Tristan McCormick, another Elite Series pro. Mark Burgess, who recently won the Bass Regional up on Lake Champlain. He's going to be there. I'm doing seminars all 4 days. I've got one on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. 3 of those are up on the Hog Trough. 1 is on the seminar stage. That seminar stage is breaking down big water. And I think that one's at 1 p.m. Go to my Facebook page, Facebook, Real Northern Bass. I posted it up there for anybody that's interested. I'll probably post a story of it up on Instagram too. So you guys can, if you're trying to kind of get around when I'm doing one of those, then awesome. If not, no worries. I think that covers everything.
You're gonna have Berkshire guys with
Berkshire
all of
Bass.
the Mega Bass stuff that you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
Tons of boat manufacturers like JCS, and there's just gonna
Scungio, JCS Restoration is going to be there.
Yep.
So you can see his work firsthand, which is phenomenal. And your boat's still there.
My boat is currently down there. Big plans for this year. We'll keep it a secret for now, but
yeah. Now we're just waiting on insurance to get their shit together.
yeah, insurance.
Okay. Let's start with Beast Coast. And let me see. Hang on. And that way. Yeah. Okay. I got 4 monitors going here. So trying to manage all this at the same time is
Northeast has a good question just up about the keep going up a little bit.
Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, there we go.
Is Biwaa Baits part of the Big Bass Dreams umbrella? If so, is that a recent thing? I cannot say because I don't for sure know.
It's in the process, I think, was what he told me last time. It is in the umbrella.
Okay. There you go.
Adjacent, I would say.
I would have loved to have had Oliver on here to talk about this a little bit more, but he is still like deathly sick getting over the Chicagoland thing. Everybody, please wash your hands when you come to the show. Often.
Sanitizer. Just keep a hand sanitizer with you.
I have a gallon of sanitizer.
Good.
So we're going to be, trust me, there'll be no shortage of hand sanitizer. Okay. There we go. All right, let's talk Beast Coast first. So Beast Coast Fishing, been with them for a long while now. They have a bunch of new stuff that's going to be there. Most importantly for everybody that, you know, your wallets are cowering at the moment, fear not. They're running 10 to 20% off pretty much everything that they're bringing. So that is a good thing. But to me, the coolest thing is that they have new packaging. And I really like this. I really like the message that it is too. Dialed baits, mixed bags, Northern Roots. He's always done really well with his branding. And as stupid as this seems, right? Like it's just a logo. To me, it's sexy. So anyway, I am very, very excited about that. Let me see if I can do this without screwing everything up. Then there's the Seduce. So Derek has been working on his own version of a forward-facing sonar type minnow, whether you want to call it mid-strolling or Demiki rig, pinging a minnow, whatever the case. This is just one of many uses this could be for, but this is the primary use for it. He's got 3 different sizes. He will have at least samples there to show off so you guys can get your hands on it and take a look at it. I don't know if he's going to get a shipment there in time for that, but all I know is that Jody White was here in the chat and he hammered them on this. He's a hell of a stick anyway. There's been nothing but really good feedback about these baits so far. So if that is your jam, then you need to take a look at these. I can tell you also the Crazy Hickbait Company has a version of their own that they're bringing. And of course, the name escapes me at this moment. But you can go check those guys out too, because they're going to have options like that as well. But he's going to have a ton of different colors for the Seduce. And that's going to go in line with also one of his new jig heads that is also specifically meant for this kind of deal. Whether you want to mid-stroll it, vertical Demiki it, if you just want to swim it, doesn't matter. It's got the molded eyes inside of it. You know it's going to be good because it's got the BKK hook. Cannot go wrong. That's just another look at what the Seduce looks like. Kind of get a more mechanical look at what the profile of this bait is and all the different sizes as well. Got a 3-inch-ish, one in the 4-inch range, one in the 5-inch range. So depending upon what your jam is and what you want to chase down, he's got you covered with everything. So Beast Coast Fishing, if memory serves correct, he's going to be in the same general area that he was last year, which is in and to the left. So you guys go check them out and tell them we sent you. Ooh.
Nice.
Okay, let's touch on Douglas rods before we start showing off all the goods on the table. Sean Miller will be there with Christian. 25 of each error rod at the show, which is good. If you guys are looking for a budget-friendly rod that is still phenomenal, that rod, I'm telling you, it is just stupid. It's so good.
They're amazing. They've got 6 rods in their series.
Yep.
And they're each $99 a piece. You can get a full line of rods, whatever you want. Like if you're a beginner or even a guide or whatever you're doing, you can get 6 rods that will cover absolutely everything that you need to do.
Yeah. 100%.
Everything from frogging to drop shotting to jigs to swim baits. That's Carolina rigs. You can't beat them. They're really great. They feel good. I don't know. They're just great rods for the money. It's unbelievable.
Oh, it really is. The 7.4 medium heavy fast rod, casting rod. That was, I have that. And then I think it's a 610. It's their jerkbait / topwater spinning rod. That I have used for, topwater, exactly. And topwater and jerkbait, it worked great for it, which good thing too, right? Because that's the damn name of the model. But I use it for a bunch of other finesse techniques too, and I loved it. It has been phenomenal for the number of different techniques I can use with it. That 7.4 medium heavy fast casting rod is just lights out good. It has the backbone that I've been able to essentially do some light duty flipping and pitching with that, kind of close quarters inside thicker vegetation. I've used it with a jackhammer, and I really like it because it's just supple enough at the tip that allows that jackhammer to hunt a little bit better than the rods I would typically use for that. Spinnerbait handled everything fine. Swim jig worked phenomenal. Weightless Texas rig flukes. The hell else am I throwing there? Free rigs with varying weights on it. Just a regular Texas rig. I use it as a jig rod. What the hell else am I throwing on that? I thrown some top water on it too. I swapped out one of my reels and threw straight braid on it and threw like a decent sized walking bait. It's just great all around rod.
I took their frog rod, the Era frog rod, and I beat the living death out of it, punching and frogging this year.
Yep,
it held up. So, and I've got the X matrices, and I've got their other big heavy duties, and it's ridiculous for the money. You just can't beat it. It's so great.
Yep. And so here's the thing, right? We're sponsored by them. Doesn't matter. I have been extremely honest with everything that I've ever shared with you guys since day one before I even picked up any sponsors. And that hasn't changed. I was with Luz. I still am with Luz, but I use them for my reels. I use Douglas for my rods. I go either way. They're great. Everybody is great at so many different things. So I will never say that they're the best. Do I think they're better than most at each of their respective price points? Yes, especially the X Matrix and the Error rod. Those are phenomenal rods. The LRS, that's in that mid-tier range where I cannot definitively say if I think it's better than most other rods in that price range because I have very little experience in that intermediate price range. A lot of experience with really cheap rods and a good amount of experience with a lot of expensive rods.
That's kind of where I went to. I started out really cheap and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to buy a $600 punching rod. And I was like, oh boy.
Yep. So, when we say that they are phenomenal rods for their price point, like we mean it. We're not just trying to sell you on it. We're trying to be as descriptive as we can. If I had to put this up against other rods I know really well, and most recently I put it up against pretty much anything that Luz has from that $150-ish price point and down. So the Douglas $100 rod is comparable with anything that Luz makes up to their $150 price point. You just have a little bit, much more limited options for overall lengths, powers, and actions than you would find at, say, Luz for their, I think it was the custom speed sticks with the all matte black rods for $150. There's like 30 different freaking rod models for that. But they're all good in their own respective ways, and some are a little bit better than most. I do think that the X Matrix is better than anything I've ever used from Luz, but that's not to say that what I used from Luz was bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
The one thing I haven't used from Luz is their Elite TI rods. And those came out after I had switched to Douglas. So I cannot say if the X Matrix is better than that because I haven't used it. They're about the same price point. They're in that same ballpark. They could go toe to toe. I don't know. But that is further clarifying the, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. I don't want to say it's not honesty because we're being honest.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You get what I'm trying to say. We haven't changed one bit. I certainly haven't changed
I
one
think
bit since
the best part about those arrow rods being $100 and that you can get the whole series for that cheap, and they're cheap. If you got a high school kid fishing on a high school team,
yep,
you can get them every single rod that you need for that high school kid.
$600.
That's it. Done.
And they're squared
Sold.
up. Yep.
And they've got warranties that are amazing. You crack it, break it, snap it, send it back. Done. Like,
thank you, Kara. That's the word I was looking for. You know what? If I need to think of a negative word to explain myself, I got it. My vocabulary an encyclopedia of different ways that I can explain myself in a negative way.
Integrity.
Just, you know, I have no shortage of it. Trying to think of myself in a positive way, though. Different story. No idea.
Integrity Farms.
Integrity. Okay, let's start showing off some of this stuff because I don't want to take up too much people's time because we have still a lot more work to do after the show is done. Not just tearing down, but then continuing to pack everything.
We got to pack so much stuff.
So again, everything that we're going to show is literally stuff we took out of boxes that are going to the show this weekend. I've talked a lot. What do you want to show off first? Yeah.
These are going to be unbelievable. The HD capsize and this
cast.
is the 1.5 and the 6-inch.
Yep. Yeah.
Look at this. Can you see that color though?
Look
at that. Is ridiculous. That's nuts.
That is one of the better yellow perch patterns out there. Grab focus. There we go. Camera's looking good. I will say, okay, so capsize cast is, again, two different ones. You got the HD and the cast. So the regular cast is the lighter weight one. It is 1.25 ounces. The HD is 1.5 ounces, depending on what you want to do. If you want to compare this to anything, then it is similar to a megabass. But these do not have a magnet in them. So therefore, they're more likely to swim true for you much longer because you don't have to worry about any part of the harness ever falling out.
Yep.
Variety of colors. If you want to swim a little bit higher in the water column, then you want to just get the regular cast. If you want to fish a little bit deeper, closer to bottom structure,
the HD.
Yep.
Because that HD is 1.5 ounce. And they're also making these in a ton of different sizes.
Yes.
So what we just showed you was the 6-inch. They've also got a 7.5. Look at this. This color is ridiculous too. It's just crazy looking.
There's something about that color that makes me really excited for because that could pass for a multitude of baits, but there's something about that screams black crappie to me too.
Black crappie. I mean, like just so much glitter in that bait. It's beautiful.
Yep.
That's going to put off some real good show in the water.
So you have the 7-inch. They have a 9-inch. They literally have you covered on all these. The 9-inch comes in a regular and an
Look at these big boys.
And then for those of you that are out there chasing muskie and pike, they got a 12-inch. However, Oliver did say that people have been catching bass on these as well. This is outside of my comfort zone. You will never see me throw this. That doesn't mean that it can't be used. I'm just telling you right now, you will not find me throwing this.
That's bigger than Dad's.
You know what? I take that back. I'm going up to Champlain with my family this summer. Like, I'm actually taking the kids up. We're going to stay at Cozy Cottages. I'm really excited. My oldest, Jared, he's like, Dad, I really want to catch a big pike. I think I might buy a couple of these just so we can go up there and chase pike for him. Because, dude, that would be amazing to see him hook into like a 36 to 40 inch pike. Those are fun.
Or wait until you hook a muskie and you're.
Dude, I'm telling you,
they're in there.
When we were up there, was that last year? Dave, you here? Where David Roy was with us. It was me, Andrew, and him, and we went up near the Tire Reef, but the northern one, and we were just nothing on the tires, so we were working in and around the docks, and Andrew's just throwing his 9.5-inch shad glide from bull shad, and we were standing shoulder to shoulder, but nose of the boat. He was looking a little left, I was looking a little right, but we were like shoulder to shoulder. Then I just heard something. And then him set the hook over my head, and I look over and I saw, dude, it was 100% a muskie because they get that bigger, thicker look to them. They fill out a lot more round. It had
color's
that
different,
beautiful
too.
green color, a little bit of that tiger kind of stripe, not the chain. Like, dude,
Oh,
and that thing was just 3 big head shaking thrashes, and then pop goes his glide. And we were both just sitting there like, whoa. Dude, it was a big muskie.
I was telling you earlier, I hooked a big muskie on my buzzbait. I mean, this thing just absolutely rocketed out of the water, and I saw the whole profile of the fish, and the color of it was like that. It's not a pike, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And it just started screaming. Just my reel and my rod was just going.
I saw a comment there and I want to address it from Dixie Fishing. Mike, how's the tail kick? On the capsize, I have not personally fished these, but I did get to talk to Oliver about them because he's already been fishing them a bunch. And he said that they swim extremely true at various speeds. You can burn these and they won't blow out. So, and apparently that's true across all sizes on them. So, good kick to the tail, doesn't blow out. You can burn them. Cannot go wrong with that.
That was one thing he and I were talking about, because back in the day, most of you may know, if not, Oliver was with Megabass for a long time.
Yes.
And that was one thing that he mentioned to me, was the difference that he found that he liked these so much more. And now we're getting these to the market, is because you can burn them or go super, super slow. Like I find with some other baits like the mag drafts, if I'm going too slow, it's just sinking.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
And I want to be able to creep that thing. Or if I'm going too fast, it's just belly rolling.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that Oliver said, that these things can be worked at all sorts of speeds and they will stay
still
true.
swim true. Good. That's what I like to hear. I'm really intrigued by these. I mean, I've had decent luck with the 6-inch ones from Megabass, so I'm going to feel very at home with these. But the 7.5-inch, I've caught some on the 8-inch versions of these, and I'm very intrigued by that size because it's big without being overly big. I've caught fish on this working class 0 Citizen 7. So this is just a slightly different variation from it that gives me a bit more color options and obviously much more readily available, unlike working class 0. So
and unfortunately, the plastic on these two are super durable. From what Oliver was saying, he caught how many fish on them, and we were able to take one out of the pack and play with it, and it just, the plastic is a much tougher, more durable plastic than whatever other baits that I've played with on the market so far. So I'm pretty stoked.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Mr. Miller, if you could do me a favor, please. Oh, you can't see it. Never mind. All right, let me grab this really quick. I will answer a rod question from Kyle. I'm going to buy one spinning and one casting Douglas rod at the show this weekend. What rods do you recommend? I throw a lot of Senkos, Ned rigs, jigs, Texas rig plastics. Casting or spinning? Did he say? Nope, sorry. One spinning and one casting. For all that, dude, I tell you what, that 7.4 medium heavy fast. So for your casting, anywhere from, I would say, the 715F, which is in the X Matrix and the LRS line. And then I know that there's that 7.4 medium heavy fast on the Era rod, the ERA, that might be a smidge. No, dude, I don't know. I did all of those things with that, and it worked phenomenal. So
the
really
Era rod with the
those.
Texas rig rod they make for that,
that's a 7.2, isn't it?
I think so. It's either a 7.2 or 7.3, but that's a solid rod.
715 or 745 Era or LRS. There it is.
Yeah, the 745 is
745 is really good.
A good all around. You can throw swim baits, you can throw jigs, you can throw Texas rigs, you can throw Senkos, you can throw just about anything on that 745 and feel comfortable.
You know what one of my favorite rods was this year from Douglas? The 765 XF.
Yeah.
Dude, that for like a deep, like a just straight up open water jig rod. Oh, man, that thing is awesome. So for casting, you can't go wrong with any of those. For spinning, Senkos, Ned rigs, jigs. The 724 XF is also a really good rod for all of those things. It's got a little bit more backbone. Throwing super light finesse stuff, it works well, but not great. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to cast like a 1/20th ounce Ned head with a 3-inch little soft plastic on it, it's maybe a little stout for that. not bad, but it's not my first choice. I like the 763 XF a lot better for those applications myself. But if you're looking for one rod that will still do everything, then
Definitely that 724.
Phenomenal rod. You cannot go wrong with that. They have that in the X Matrix. They have that in the LRS. And then for the spinning, I have that 610 era, and I really like that. I would say it's a little too supple for throwing Senkos unless you're like straight up water fishing it.
Yeah.
I broke off a fish at the STQT on the tire pile on that rod, weightless wacky rig Senko, and I could not fight him out of that. And he wrapped around one of the buoys.
Not enough rod.
Just not enough backbone. So as long as you're not going, if you say you're fishing the very outside edge of like a deep weed line, great. You want to get on the inside of that? No, it's too supple. You need a little bit more backbone to keep them up out of that. That's my thought. Kind of can't go wrong with any of those, man. Yeah, there you go. Sean Miller. Spinning 724 XF, LRS, or the 725 XF. 725 I'm very intrigued by. That's one of the few that I don't have that I would like to give a shot to. Okay, back to baits. That one,
that thing.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Okay, so I got, where's the one that's still in the box?
Right underneath it. I got you.
Thanks. Okay, so another one from Biwaa. This is I'm hoping I pronounce this right, the Endanger. So it is a jointed swim bait that suspends, and it is effectively, if you think about it, just a slightly bulkier version of a jerkbait.
Pretty sweet.
I think it looks really, really good. So it does suspend. I believe it's somewhere in the 4 to 6 foot range on the 140s. How heavy was it? Why, for the life of me, I can't
35
remember.
grams.
35 grams. Thank you. It's not that much bigger. I mean, it's a 140 millimeter. It's not that much bigger than the 110. There's a bunch of different color options on this that look really good. This rainbow trout one honestly looks phenomenal. It's not too heavy. So while I would be hesitant to throw this on, say, a standard jerkbait rod, going up to what I would consider to be like a standard crankbait rod, which at least for me has just a little bit more backbone to it than what I throw my jerkbait on, straight 10 to 12 pound fluorocarbon on it, I'd throw this all day long. To me, I'm looking at this like another version of a jerkbait, which I already said, but I'm going to reiterate that point because I'm going to be able to do this, work this the exact same way in the exact same depths and areas that I currently use my jerkbait. I'm just going to give them a slightly different look on this. Cool thing about it too, soft tail, and it's replaceable. So if you want to go with a slightly different color on that tail, or if it gets torn up.
And it comes with a backup tail as well. It does
come with a backup tail. Thank you for pointing that out. There's a bunch of different sizes. There's 2 different sizes for this. I know there's a 140, and I think there's a 165, something like that. I can't remember.
It is a 165 is the bigger one.
Yeah, but I believe we only have the 140s on hand. This is another one I'm extremely excited for.
I'm excited to throw that with a little bit heavier weights. Yeah.
Wait, is this what you're going to talk about, or do I have to get? Or
well, no, still talking about like I'm going to use that with like a 15-pound test on maybe like a heavier jerkbait or more of like a jig rod, a light swim bait rod. I really get into some weeds and beefy because I like to work my jerkbaits right above that weed edge, like. And then when they come up out of the weeds, then I've got to deal with. So sometimes I'm throwing my jerkbait on 15 to 18 pound tests just because I'm throwing it in weird stuff. But if that's going to suspend and it's got the bill, it's going to swim. So it's marketed as a swimming, suspending jerkbait.
Yes. And so Dixie Fishing asking that, suspend in cold water, no water temps affect how a bait suspends. Yeah, anything that will suspend will still suspend in colder water. You just got to play around your line weight a little bit. There's something about the Vision 110, and especially the plus ones, that I end up going with 15-pound fluoro in really, really cold water, and that just helps balance it out a little bit better. Usually I'd throw that on 10 to 12 pound, but 15-pound in really, really cold water, especially on the plus one, just gets it damn near suspending or the slowest sink rate possible. And that's from ice out to like 45, 46 degree water. Then once you get a couple of days where your surface temp spiking up towards like 50 and then back down like pretty quickly during the overnight lows.
I'll put that 12 back on typically.
Yeah. Yeah. Just took the words right out of my mouth. So that's another one I'm extremely excited for.
And we'll also have all of the Defiant line available at the New England show too, which if you guys haven't played with the Defiant line or use the Defiant line, I've switched over from using a bunch of different other companies throughout the years.
Yeah.
And I keep telling other guys this, just try a spool and it'll blow your mind. It's really crazy.
It is. So I start with fluorocarbon. My brain's all over the place. All the different lines I've used and the line types. Fluorocarbon, I went from P line, and everything that I use for like 2 to 3 years at a minimum.
Same.
P line, the blue box, Cigar Red Label, Cigar Brazix, Cigar Tatsu, Cigar Invisix. I think that's actually everything for fluorocarbon that I did.
I was a hardcore Sunline guy through and through. After using a bunch of other different lines throughout the years.
FC Sniper?
All of them.
Okay.
Just throughout the entire line. And now I just dropped all my Sunline stuff and I'm strictly using, even before I was with them and sponsored by them, I tried it. And I was like, this is nuts. This is incredible.
Yep. I would say that the heavy cover from Defiant, their fluorocarbon, is similar to either the Sunline FC Sniper or the Cigar Brazix, where it's just, it's heavy cover. It is a little bit thicker than you would get out of your typical standard
it's like a shooter.
fluorocarbon.
It's like a Sunline shooter versus this, and then you've got your regular, the casting one, I would say would be more like the Sniper.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. My Sunline experience is very limited, so I got backwards.
That's all I used to throw. And then their braid, like I'm throwing 22-pound braid on my drop shot rod.
Same, because the line diameter,
it's unbelievable.
It's ridiculous. And that was a question I got when I was posting about it a lot this summer. Like people are like, well, "What are you using for your braid?" And the Defiant smooth casting. And same deal. I went to the 22-pound. People were like, well, that's insane. Why do you have 22-pound on your drop shot? It's like, because it's thinner than anybody's 10-pound braid that's out there.
I tried the 12-pound and it was too thin.
Same.
It was literally too thin.
Yep. I couldn't do it. And the problem I was having with that was because I refused to go any lower on my line weight for my leader. I stick with the Defiant soft casting, 7.8 pound.
Same.
I cannot get myself to go lower than that. And I've just found with the Alberto knot, and again, this is my stubbornness. If I would try to tie an FG knot, I wouldn't run into these same issues. But I
can't tie the FG knot with those.
Oh, even with that?
It's too thin.
Well, then that's the problem I was running into with my Alberto. It was so thin that the difference in the line diameters was so off that I was just breaking it off when I was like breaking off my fluoro when I was cinching it down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, well, that's not going to work. So I went to the 22-pound. So my line diameters got a little bit closer.
Yep.
Literally 0 issues. I never have an issue ever again. And I have not had an issue when I went to that matching line diameters a little bit closely, but I'm still thinner than anybody else with that 22-pound. And it's stout. Like, it's legitimate 22-pound braid.
It is. And it casts like it's 10 pounds because it's so thin, but you've got the weight and the security of if you're drop shotting in 40, 50 foot of water, or if you're drop shotting like me in 10 foot of water in grass and weeds and nastiness, that you can just reef on it and be like, I'm good.
Yep.
It's security that you're not going to lose that fish.
Yep, exactly. I use a 22-pound
for my
drop shot
wind
stuff.
Knots too.
Yeah. Oh my God. Way less. Wind knots. It's insane.
There's so many damn wind knots with other lines. This is like when you switch to that 22, it's pretty much eliminates wind knots.
Yeah. I'm going a little bit out of order here for what I saw for questions, but I did see Mike Bradley. How's the color retention? Phenomenal.
Really good.
Yeah.
I've got a spool of the 22-pound on that I've had since early spring, and you would think it's brand new.
Yep. It's really, really good. Mark, Defiant still have those spinnerbaits and buzzbaits I picked up last year at the show? Yes.
Yep.
So we don't have it on the table, but we have the whole lineup of everything Defiant fishing. So we have all of the colors available for both their buzzbaits and their spinnerbaits. We have an extensive inventory of all of them, all 4 colors for both of those. We have an extensive inventory and variety of all the Defiant jig heads as well in every color. The white, the blue, the gray blue, the white and chartreuse, the raw, the dark green pumpkin from...
Do you have the underspin heads too with them?
Yes, we do. Yep. We have the regular jig heads. We have the underspin jig heads. The variety of weights on the underspins is a little not as varied as just the regular jig heads. Regular jig heads, 3/16, quarter ounce, 3/8, half ounce, 3/4, 5/8, and 1 ounce for almost every single color, and at least like 8 of every single one of those. So if you're looking for more of those too, then yep, you can absolutely get those that are gonna be there as well. They all will have all the pricing there at the show, but pretty much everything from Defiant, whatever the price is on the website, is the same price at the show. So it makes it pretty easy if you want to look into that ahead of time. I will say I didn't talk about them a whole lot this year because that type of fishing for me would just using any of those types of jig heads, I did very little for this year. But what little I did, beyond impressed with those Defiant jig hooks, and especially the small ones
too.
Baitkeeper, I typically hate screw locks in this regard. Defiant did it right.
I told Oliver when he first made them, I was like, these are stupid. I hate twist locks.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, all right, they're pretty okay. They actually hold the bait on really, really well. It's just learning how to put the bait on properly, which a lot of people struggle with.
Yes.
But figure it out. You're going to save baits and you're going to save time not scrunching that bait up every time you get fish or hit a weed or something, like it slides back down. Well, you push that up. You don't have to do that with the Defiant heads.
Right. No. And literally all it comes down to is the spacing in the wraps on that screw lock, and then the gap between the inside of that spiral and the hook shank itself. And they fucking nail it.
It allows you to hook onto a lot more meat of the plastic.
Yes.
And it's easier to twist on. It's not so fine. Like you have to,
that you're like tearing it as you're trying to actually thread it, because
it's really nice.
The wrap is too tight on some other ones that I've used. This is perfect. Even a 2.8-inch Kitech swing impact fat, I can thread on these lighter jig hooks, and the hook is stout as hell. So you really can't go wrong. It's got the molded eyes in it. Like, they're phenomenal jig hooks. We'll have those there as well. Again, like the whole lineup of all the Defiant fishing line is going to be there. We got you covered. That's for damn sure. Hide that. Man, I got some. Oh, Sean Place going to have catch boards. Yes, we will have catch boards there as well. Those are actually due to arrive tomorrow at my house, so I'll make sure I have those as well. Bob, how can I order a sweatshirt? I actually took down the website, my Shopify website, where I was selling apparel online because nobody was buying anything, and I was paying $30 a month for nothing. So I think I went through like a full year in between selling things, so I burned a little over $300 for zero.
Oof.
I kept telling people it was there, but nobody was buying anything when I had in stock. So the only way you can get apparel now is you get to come to the show. And I have very little apparel as a result of this. And it is what it is. And hopefully anybody that's interested, I'm going to have this hoodie, which came out awesome, especially with the Real Northern Bass on the sleeve. I've got those flannels. If I have anything left over afterwards, I will ship them to people that are interested, but I don't have a website dedicated to apparel anymore. Those flannels are so nice.
No.
It's literally the same one as Oliver. I went with a different color, and I was looking at it. I'm like, I kind of want one for myself now. And the guy that I use that does all my apparel now, he's like, I can get that one. And I was like, what colors? He's like, I can do every color. It's like, yeah.
I need to make sure I get one before I can't get one.
Yeah.
I was like, when I saw them, you first had them in there, that black one. I was like, yeah, I almost took that home with me. Oh, that's nice.
Kyle, I do not know if Defiant's going to do other colors on their braid, but I can ask that question. Joe,
I did in the past see some sneaky videos of Oliver with some different colors.
Ooh.
If you see, look on and pay attention to the Big Bass Dreams page and follow Oliver's stuff and see what he's doing. Occasionally,
he lets some stuff slip.
He'll let some stuff slip. And there was a video last year. I may be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but there was some different colors with some high vis stuff. So it's probably in the works. Yeah.
Was this one mine?
That's your personal one. Yeah.
Then we can take this.
Yeah.
Okay. More bait talk.
The stuff that they got coming from Biwaa is really cool. So it's like, what did he say? A lot of it's the Japanese design that's just overseas and being brought here now. Like, look at this thing. Divinator.
I would keep pronouncing it Divinator, but it's one of those, like, I read a ton of books and I'll talk to friends about it and I'll say something. They're like, you pronounce it like what? So there's a good chance I do this wrong.
Bar. Kara and I were like, Barry.
It's got 2 R's. It made sense for me to say bar. Barry. Barre. Bar. No, Barry, apparently. Fucking stupid mutt. Good thing you like your fishing. Anyway, divinator, whatever you want to call it. So this comes in a variety of different sizes, different colors. That's the big boy.
That's the bigger one.
And they're actually really heavy for what they look like for this size. I'm going to get up and show you guys in a minute. But I will say, I am extremely intrigued by this because you can fish this in a number of different ways, whether you want to fish it just straight retrieve, almost like a spinnerbait. What I was doing the last 2 trips out this year, the last 2 trips I could get out this year, this thing, I was fishing like a blade bait. And even fishing it like that, it works really, really well. It comes up and it comes up off the bottom just like a blade bait would. It's almost like a hybrid between a spoon and a blade because of the position of the tail and how it works. So from that regard, it looks strange, but me thinking, how can I apply it and make it work in ways that I know for other traditional baits, from that perspective, made perfect sense. Oliver has been killing it on this already out in California, just straight retrieving it like a spinnerbait. It's just a little bit different than anything else that is currently out there. And they have much more traditional sizes. They have a 3.5 inch, something like that, and then an even smaller one than that.
They got some tiny ones. They're like a tailspin sort of sizes, but it's a soft plastic tailspin essentially. I mean, that color profile on that one is incredible cool. Like,
there we go.
That's nuts. That's beautiful. I'm excited to play around with putting different blade sizes on the back to see and control retrieve and fall rate to see what happens. So that one, what size was that one? That's the 2 ounce.
That's a 2 ounce, and then they have a 3/4 ounce,
3 ounce one. So it's slightly bigger. And the plastic too is really unique feel on the plastic. It's much thicker, more durable.
The thing that I'm really excited about with this is, for anybody that fishes blade baits a lot, how many times have you felt the fish pick it up and immediately spit it back out? And it's easy to feel because, and in a lot of cases, I think a lot of people do braid the leader when they're still doing that. So you got that sensitivity for that anyway, and they're literally biting a chunk of metal. And I think especially for some reason, the tail end of this year coming into winter, I did get a few fish on blade bait, but I missed a lot of fish because I never even had a chance to them. Just you could feel them like slap it, and then they never came back. Versus when I was dragging a Kitech, or was throwing the sniper with a Kitech or a Ned rig on the back, you could feel them slap it, but then come back and munch. So they're trying to like stun it and then come back. With the blade bait, they were just stunning it and they'd run away. They wouldn't come back to it.
They hit that hard cold metal and they're like, oh, that ain't right.
This, I think, is going to be good specifically for situations like that, because they're going to hit it, and because it's that soft plastic, it's going to have that give to it, where I think they're going to come back and commit to it in ways that they won't to a blade bait. Food for thought.
Speaking about blade baits,
go ahead and show it off.
There's a bunch of different colors there too, but these, I'm super stoked for these blade baits. See if we can get some other colors. Oh yeah. We are gonna smash some smallies with those, I bet you. Smallies, walleyes.
Oh, 100%. I
try them for lake trout through the ice.
Look at. Is there anything overly special about a blade bait? No. Am I still extremely excited about this? Yes. They have a lot of good colors for this. And more importantly, I am a huge fan of the profile of this, because
the weight
of it, the way it's going to fall,
how it's going to sit on the bottom. That's what
you can vertical drop it, and it's got castability to that design. And that's the thing I've talked about pretty much anytime we brought up blade baits during the show, is I like styles, the profiles like this a lot better, because doesn't matter what I want to do. If I want to bomb that thing 200 feet, or if I want to drop it straight down, I can do that and know that it is extremely unlikely that I'm going to get snagged up, versus those Bass Pro styles that are like really long and thin. Dude, I cannot cast those because the hook will always wrap over the top and foul itself, and it's infuriating. Vertical drop can do all day long. These ones, I know, between that hook size and the profile that has castability to it. If you want to bomb that thing out and work it all the way back to the boat, you're gonna be able to do that. You don't have to worry about it.
The profile of it is a very thin profile, which also I like personally because I find some blade baits, when you pick it up off the bottom, you have to pick it up too far before it actually vibrates.
Yes.
These, you can feel that vibrate. It's an immediate, like, I want to be able to hop that bait 2 or 3 inches sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to move it. Like, it just, and I want to feel it shudder.
Yep.
Some baits, you have to feel like you're picking up 10 feet of line before you can even feel that shudder.
Oh,
That doesn't do that.
that's why I stuck with Binsky blades for so long,
Yeah.
for that same reason, because you just a little flick of your wrist and you feel that thing vibrating immediately. So I like the fact that now I can add even more options to that and not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And more variety in colors too is always good.
The color and lineup, those are going to be nuts.
All right, we have too much stuff here, and
This
we've
is
already been
probably-
at this for like 48 minutes. So let's talk about.
This is probably
Ooh.
the last.
No, we got some traditional stuff to talk about too, but let's talk about that. But Jake asked, do you have any of the 8-inch submission unrigged baits? Did we have one of those? I thought we did.
How about
Oh, yeah. Look,
bang?
right in front of me. Yes, we do. We got a variety of colors on them too.
Those are the unrigged. We just showed you there. And then this is the rigged with the top hook and a treble on the bottom as well. That's going to be a killer bait because you can take that treble off and just run that single top hook, or even put another treble on the top. That's going to be a deadly bait.
Mark, I don't have the price on the blade baits in front of me. I did have it somewhere. I'll have to go back. Oh, did I put those pricing? I have inventory on this, but I don't remember if I pulled the pricing on everything Biwaa. Well, I'll have to figure that out. They're 11 grams, which, if memory serves correct, is a 3/4 ounce. It's either half ounce or 3/4 ounce on these sizes. I want to say it was. I can't remember my conversion. We'll come back to you on that. Okay, last thing, big bait wise, and then I want to cover some of these more traditional stuff for those that are not looking to break the bank and are not really looking for anything that's specific to swim bait stuff. But last but not least, then on that point, for all those that know the Defiant bird, here's the baby bird. It is damn near half the size of the original bird. The baby bird, again, it's just, I don't even explain it. It's just a smaller version of it. Oh, I did put it. Or is that in the email?
That's our email list.
Okay, I did have it. So how much was it?
13.
13 for the blades. Defiant baby bird. So for any of those of you that are into the big swim bait game, but you don't like spending a ton of money on it, or you want to get into it, but you're hesitant to spend that kind of money, and you're also hesitant to throw something that you might not have the right gear for, baby bird is for you. We're starting to see a lot more of this in the swim bait scene as a whole, where everybody's, everybody has done so many variations of giant that now we're starting to see some more of these mid-size make a resurgence.
The crawlers.
Yep.
That too's big. Speaking about mid-sized swim baits, what is under your that?
Oh yeah. Okay, that was the last swim bait one we didn't talk about, which is
We'll
just
show
dumb
them
because this one looks phenomenal. Miniverse.
Look at that thing.
So that's the Glide Beast, and there's two different sizes. There's a 145 and a 160, or is it 165?
I think it's 160.
What size was this one? You're right, it was 160. So 145 and a 160. We have a variety of colors on those as well. This I'm also very excited about because it's another one of those mini glides. Schmedium glides.
That's a schmedium glide.
Schmedium glide.
I wouldn't say mini glide, but
No.
it's definitely a.
Well, I'm used to throwing 9 and 10 inch glides now.
Right.
It's like the only kind of glide I can catch them on.
It's about a 6 inch or so, 5.5, 6 inch. It's 145, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
about 6 inch for the 145.
6 inches, 150. So yeah, slightly under 6 inch.
5 3/4.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
Okay, let's wrap this up with talking about some of the more traditional tackle that they have. What do you got there? You first.
We got.
Oh, Scorpa tail. I can talk about this one.
Yeah.
This one's good.
Send it. You got it.
Okay, Scorpa tail. I'll wait for him to start. Do we dare open that?
Nah, I don't know yet.
Okay. So
I haven't gotten permission, so.
The Scorpa tail, this one I actually went out and fished with extensively over the last 3 trips, in the sense that I had it rigged up on multiple different techniques so I could really get a feel for what I could comfortably do with this. Those look really good. They have a 3-inch, a 4-inch, and a 5-inch. That 3-inch is the one I played around with the most, and then I tried the 4-inch a little bit. Obviously, tried them mid-strolling. Demiking, forward-facing sonaring, pinging a minnow. I don't care what you call it. That's what I did. And I liked what it did. It called in the fish just the same as everything else. I only had a limited colors to work with. I had dark green pumpkin and basically white. And they were not touching those colors that day. I did get other fish to bite, but they wanted something more alewife-y that day. And it was on that body of water that you and
that
I
would have been a killer color
lot.
to.
Yeah, which oddly enough, they wanted something very similar to that. And I didn't have that one. But it works great for those 2 different things. It works great for that in general. Pinging a minnow, mid-strolling, straight vertical demiking. I did actually catch 2 fish on that up on Lake Champlain. I was very happy about that. That was on the 3-inch version, just dark green pumpkin on a 3/8 ounce, just green ball jig. And that one had eyes on it too. And, like it's just a vertical demiking. They're either going to eat it or they're not.
Right.
But I like the fact there's a 4-inch and a 5-inch because, again, if you're really big into that mid-stroll game, I will say that even the 3 and the 4-inch, swimming it, like I just put it beside the boat, it was only about a foot underneath the water, but just kind of bouncing the rod tip as I'm like walking the length of my boat, you can really get a lot of action out of the tail, out of that Scorpa tail. And it's just because it comes down to a really, really thin section before you get a little bulb on the very end. So you have that weight imbalance playing to your benefit.
Like it is a fluke style bait once you get, because the underbelly is split, but the advantage is that little bit of the tail right there, that extra weight with it being so thin, it's got some really crazy action on it.
Yep. No, I was very, very happy with it. So I started with it with that in mind. I didn't fish it as weightless T-rig fluke yet, but I have no doubt in my mind that that's going to work extremely well for that. And you're going to see me throwing the hell out of that thing come spring because it's one of my favorite things to do. I threw it on a drop shot. I did catch a fish on it that way. I threw it on a Ned rig. It looked really, really good. Just kind of throwing it a couple inches of water by the shore. Stood up. Tail on the 3-inch looked good. On something a little bit heavier, unless you were vigorously hopping it, it was too much and it just kind of fell over. But the 3-inch, it looked really, really good. What else did I try it on? No, that was it. That was all the different things I threw it on. Did catch a couple of fish with it. Plastic holds up well. Very, very happy with those. I think Scorpa tail is going to be a definite keeper moving forward into next year for a variety of different things. But I'm really excited about the 5-inch, both for mid-strolling and weightless Texas rig fluke. That's going to be a ton of fun.
That 4-inch will be nice for mid-strolling too.
Yes. I had more success mid-strolling a 4-inch bait than I did a 3-inch bait.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
Especially around here with our bait fish sizes.
Yeah, they're more closer to that, especially if they're chasing white perch, yellow perch, then that 4 and even 5-inch ends up playing a lot nicer than the 3-inch. The 3-inch, I got a lot more fish to follow, but less to bite.
Yep.
And it was the 4-inch that got me a lot more biters. Hard lesson learned. What else do we have there for? You got to talk about those.
These are the 4-inch submissions. Now, they make a ton of different sizes in these. And you can do whatever you want. I mean, this bait color, this perch is unbelievable. Look at that is a real perch color.
Okay. I don't think it's gonna unless you get your hand right up in front of it. I got you.
Oh, well.
Give me the bait.
There it is.
You did it.
Look at that. That's like a real perch looking bait. You throw those on the back of anything. A regular jig head. Drag this on the bottom. You can use these for your A-rigs. The colors on these are ridiculous.
More baits.
And that's a soft plastic that looks like a real perch.
So that was another bait that I did throw was up on Champlain my last 2 trips out. Champlain and another place. Other place I didn't get bit. This one I actually got trucked twice. But it was just like I was talking about the blade bait, where they were
Right.
coming up and just thumping it, and then they were running away. Every single bite I got that last day, they were doing that, but it was only a very particular shade of green pumpkin that they would come back and finish.
Yep.
Literally everything else I threw at them, if I got bit, they would thump it. I'm like, hell yeah, where'd they go?
Swing and a miss.
They never came back. But then I'd follow up in that same exact spot with that particular shade of dark green pumpkin. And when they ate it, they ate it. So it was just weird. So it had nothing to do with the bait. It had to do with the color. And I don't think it was the red throwing off again, because I was trying other baits while I was out there. They were all slightly different colors, throwing blacks, throwing some more natural colors, throwing different shades of dark green pumpkins, and none of those were even getting bit. That at least got bit. I like the eyes on that too.
The eyes on all of these baits are really cool.
Yeah. And I was throwing that exact size, the 4-inch. I was throwing in a 1/2 ounce football jig, and I was just dragging that naked football jig. Yep. And it looks good. It looks really, really good. I like that red tail because it helps it stand out this time of the year, or well, in this case, late December, when you've got all that settlement, that mush down the bottom, and you're gonna end up losing a little bit of the head as it's down in there, but you got that bright ass tail sticking up there. Very easy for them to track it down.
What you got?
Armored Craw. So this is another one that I really want to talk about. These are mine, my personal collection, so we can crack these open.
These are
show
cool.
everybody what the hell we got going on here. Alec, you are right. That perch is legit. I can tell you, it's good.
So wait till you see these at the show. It's unreal how realistic they look. It looks like a printed bait. It looks like they just hydro dipped it or something. It's incredible.
Let me see that 4-inch. Also on my hand. I'm going to the camera. Armored Craw. Did you get a chance to throw these yet? Because I did.
Not yet. No.
Should be making you get up. Oh, there we go. Don't fall out of my hand. It's slipping.
The other thing,
there you go.
These plastics are so durable.
Yeah, so that's
they're like it's nice. It's not like something, it's different plastic. I don't remember exactly what Oliver had said for what type of plastic it is. It is salt. There is some salt in them, but it's just a much more durable. They're going to get eaten and you're not going to go through 20 baits.
Right. I threw a lot of the Armored Craw my last 3 trips out. And while I cannot say I caught anything on it, I am very happy with the action on it. I love so many different varieties of craw trailers. You guys know how much I love jig fishing. And as much as I love Beast Coast and I love their Flip and Delight, it's not the only one that I use. I use a lot of different things. The Armored Craw is a little bit different. It smells good.
I just did. I was like, actually.
I have not used a realistic craw, like claw type jig trailer in a long time, but there was a period for about 6 years where like, this is what I threw exclusively. And man, for the life of me, I can't remember.
That's my cold water jig technique.
Yes. And that's where I had my best luck with a profile like that, where it actually has these bigger, chunky claws to them, much more lifelike.
Yeah.
Because in that cold water, I don't care necessarily about the action on the fall. More often than not, I'm more worried about what they're looking at when the damn thing's on the bottom.
Yes, for sure.
That's why I typically go to like a Zoom Super Chunk. Even though it doesn't really have realistic claw chunks to it, it has the overall profile and they just stand there.
That's exactly what this reminds me of, is a chunk.
And that's what these do. And those claws will just sit there and it'll look just like a very lethargic crawfish just sitting there like, what do you want?
A lot of action in the claws. There's just so much action in the claws and there's so much meat on the actual bait that it's going to sit on your hook really well. And the profile from the side too, one side is flat and one side is slightly curved. So you can decide whether, if you're dragging the jig on the bottom, that rounded side will stick off the bottom of your jig a little bit better.
Yep.
But depending on what you're doing, you can switch it over to that flat side and just, it's going to be a really, really, really great trailer bait for sure.
There's a lot of flexibility in this. And it, just like you said, for the way you could rig it, depending upon you want that more flat side or that more curved side. The thing I like about this, so 3-inch and 4-inch, there's a bunch of different colors for them. Obviously, dark green pumpkin, you really can't go wrong with that. It works extremely well. The 3-inch, I will say, is a little bit more limited of what you can apply it to. On a Ned rig head or something with a really small kind of like sharp pointed bait keeper on it, similar to what you find on like a ball jig, works really well. Open water sniper, that 3-inch I had a little bit more trouble with. If you're okay with trimming it down a little bit, because where it comes right to that first point on the body where you would first start the hook point, trim that back 1/4 inch. So now you got a 2 3/4 inch. I wasn't splitting the bait whatsoever. I get that on open water sniper from Beast Coast. I had no problems with it. The 4-inch, no problems on any jig that I put it on. And I grabbed pretty much every single Beast Coast jig that they make. I put that on there and I had no problems with it. Obviously, trimmed it back like any other bait. It worked really, really well as well. It's just another slightly different profile that I'm excited to add to the repertoire, but especially in that cold water, as you rightly said.
Couldn't find pricing on these on the sheet, but I'm sure we'll have it at some point.
You know what? This is one of my favorite versions of an Okeechobee color because it doesn't have like that obnoxious amount of blue that typically comes in an Okeechobee color. It's just got a lot of the right kind of blue flake.
Yep.
And it's such a dark green pumpkin. Like my go-to color in ice out is black with a blue flake.
Yep.
This gives me just a little bit more flexibility playing around with more natural colors, but still sticking to that dark color scheme that seems to work so well in that cold
Sometimes
water.
that bright blue is like way too bright for in that Okeechobee color. And you're like, ooh.
Yeah, that's why I typically never do it. Did we talk about this?
Nope.
Okay, let's talk about it.
All right.
Biwaa tail gunner curly. So let me show it off. You can talk about it a little bit for, I guess, the potential applications of this as I'm showing it off.
That I'm stoked about to just put on like a regular like a swing head.
Yeah.
Drag that single tail on a swing head because a lot of people are throwing twin tails. And for that single, it's gonna be a really unique bait fish imitator profile as opposed to what I think the twin tails looks like a bigger craw profile. I think that single tail on a swing head as it's coming across the bottom, it's just gonna go nuts, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that this spring for sure.
You know,
a drop shot, it's gonna be really cool on a drop, especially dragging a drop shot.
Dragging a drop shot. Bear with me on this. Ned rig.
Oh yeah.
Just fishing on a light Texas rig deal. Do you remember, like, it's a singular tail. Remember when the grubs used to like run the world and everybody got away from them? But they're starting to see a bit of a resurgence.
That was one of those things that I remember fishing as a child, like growing up, a white grub on a little jig head, and I was like, this is stupid. Why is this catching so many giant fish?
Exactly. But it works. It works really well.
Really well.
And there's a part of me that, like, I can see a bunch of potential applications for this. I do wonder how this would look on the back of a jackhammer. I'm a little concerned it's a little short at that 3.5 inch, but it might be okay. It would just have just a little bit of the tail sticking out. If you could get just that last little rib and the tail to stick out past the skirt, especially if you trim your skirt back a little bit.
Is there more sizes in that coming?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I feel like there's like a 4 or 4.5.
A 4.5 on the back of a chatterbait.
Either one.
Swim jig, chatterbait.
And that's coming back to these single curly tail things, like ribbon tail worm.
I like to throw that profile on the back of a buzzbait. You know that.
Oh, now you're
if that was a 4.5 inch on the back of a buzzbait, those buzzbaits, the Defiant buzzbaits, that's lights out. That's one of my favorite trailers.
What the hell did I throw my buzzbait at the end of the year last year? It was working really well. I can't remember. It was something akin to that and just worked out really well. You know what I think I did? I think I took one of my 5-inch lizards, and I just ripped the legs off and I stuffed that on there so I get like just enough body to stick on that crappy $3 Strike King triple blade buzzbait I love so much. But it's got such a giant hook on it. I needed something with a lot of meat, and I was like, wait, one of my lizards. I threw that on there. Dude, it worked. I was catching fish on it. Whether or not it had anything to do with the plastic, no idea. Could just been all the buzz. Who knows? There you go, Mark. Armor Craw, $5.99 on the website. Thank you. I don't know why we didn't have that, but my bad. Oh,
Well,
that covered everything. A little over an hour. I was trying to keep this to a half an hour. Go
there's a
figure.
lot of baits, and there's still a lot more baits that we've got in boxes in the other room and in my truck that'll be available at the show in a bunch of other different colors. So,
yep. I think we only covered half of what we had.
whoever
That-
just
Oh no, Kashira, that's a really good idea. Mark, I like your thinking.
that size is perfect too. That 3.5.
Uh-huh.
Ooh.
Dude, just kind of stroke that thing, yo-yo it.
I like my Okashiras fishing in like 8 foot of water when the grass is coming up to 5 and you're just right above it and it's just like boop, gone.
Yep. God. I can still see it as if I'm standing there south end of Stone Island in Lake Ontario, and we could see this fish for 3 straight days. We could see these 2 different just giant black blimps swimming around. And I threw it up shallow where we had last seen it, and I was swimming my Okashira right over, and they had like these fissure cracks almost between like all the ledge.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know, they'd be like flat, all consistent depth, and you'd have this like half a foot cut that went 2 feet down, and it would run for hundreds of feet. And I'm just swimming it, not quite parallel, but almost like a 45. And all of a sudden, right as I got over the crack, just this thing came up and rolled on it. And I had my drag way too loose, but dude, it was a giant on the Okashira, and it came off. I was very sad.
I think the submissions are coming in 3-inch as well.
Yes.
These
yes, they
perch
are.
ones. So that's absolutely an Okashira bait. 100%. That little perch color on an Okashira lights out on Champlain. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
That's nuts.
We're done. We have a lot left to do tonight. I probably have another 3 hours of work ahead of me to get everything prepped for travel for this weekend, because we are staying down there for a couple of nights, and we still got to load up the rest of the stuff in your truck. I got to load a couple things in my truck. I got to get rods ready. I got to finish laundry, whole 9 yards. So for everybody that did tune in tonight, thank you very much. Before you go, wherever you're watching, YouTube, Facebook, please leave a like. Totally forgot to say at the beginning, but that's okay. You guys are usually really good about it anyway. I really hope we will see you, a lot of you, at the New England Fishing Expo this weekend. Again, we will be there for everything: Real Northern Bass, Big Bass Dreams, Defiant, Black Spirit Swimbaits, Biwaa USA. We even have a bunch of stuff from Cast. And then, of course, Douglas right across the way. Ben's Tackle Shack's got everything else that you could possibly need. What did I miss?
Any
East
other
Coast?
questions before the show? Hit me up. 3D Fishing. I'm sure myself, Sean, we can figure out. And if not, we'll see you guys there. You can get your tickets ahead of time too. If you're smart, get your tickets ahead of time for the show.
Save yourself some time, save a couple of bucks too. I believe they're still cheaper to buy them online right now than if you bought them when you show up at the door. Food for thought. So, all right, man. Hey, that was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming over.
Thank you.
Ready to go haul some heavy crap into the back of the trucks?
It's gonna be a long weekend. We'll see you. I'll see you guys there, hopefully.
Yep. And then after that, next weekend, next Wednesday, 8 p.m. As always. Everybody have a great night.